approaches and has a hit. Jack McGlynn! That is an absolute banger to draw this game level.
Welcome in. We're here. USA sucks. March Madness is going on, so watching that. I don't know if anyone else is into that kind of thing, but just been watching college basketball like all day. Great time to be alive. And we have an international break that we're playing through. So exciting times in MLS. We're going to have some weird starters, and we're going to have some second team call-ups. It's going to be a very fluid situation that should be exciting. But yeah, I'm here for it. Red or Dead, first up. What's happening? Thanks for coming in. Daniel, howdy. Let's go. Good morning to you. Good evening here, but good morning to you. Thank you for stopping in. I know it's bright and early over there, right? Am I on spring break? Not yet. I think next week. I feel like I'm off like Friday and Monday or something like that. So not yet. Ireland win at Bulgaria. Attaboy. Watch out. Yeah, what's up, Dunk? Yeah, that's disappointing, to say the least. You know, it's crazy. You have all these, MLSers that get called up, and whenever you go to the bench, not to knock Ajiman, but he's been super out of form in league. I think they could have called up better players, but they were already here. Whatever. Clement, what's happening? Let's go. We're here. MLS, baby. We're here. So just like always, I'll do a little roundup of last week. We did not have any midweek, so no need to stream really on Monday. So getting into last weekend. All right. We'll go over how it went. As far as predictions, it was my best weekend, or my best weekend, doesn't matter. 89%, pretty happy with it. But the ones that, we did miss were doozies. And I had a horrendous game week myself. I think I got like 10 limited essence, and that was it. I don't even play limited. I play like a couple throwaway lineups in there. So it was pretty brutal to say the least. Hopefully we bounce back. It should be a solid game week as far as like taking a look at what's available. And, some of the guys that are out, obviously going to be missing them, but some good matchups out there to exploit for sure. What's happening? What are your thoughts on stacking an MLS in season so far with the price pool in mind? What about buying an LAFC in season after a classic stack? Yeah, I mean, you can stack. I think in MLS, I'm not sure if the 5-man stack is really the way to go, because you can kind of play matchups elsewhere, because usually you get let down by like one of those positions. LAFC, once they get into like their set starters, like Under, seems like he's integrated pretty well already. I think he'll score well, obviously, but you could play him. Denny, you could, throw a little defensive stack, whatever you want to go there. But I think to optimize, a 5-man stack isn't quite the way to go. I think you could do a 4+1. That's kind of the way that I like. If I would go that route, or you just kind of play matchup base. I like 2-men stack, like a defensive forward or a defense/goalie, midfield/forward, just anything that there's, a little bit of continuity or, upside between the two players. I think you can go 3-men if they kind of link up as well. But I'm not sure 5-men unless your team absolutely goes off. They do have the upside if they all go off, but a lot of times you have that one guy that scores like 40 and it kind of throws you off, but you still probably going to do pretty well if the rest of the team balls out. Like a lot of those St. Louis City stacks did really well because everybody balled out pretty much, especially like if you played Kessler in that stack as your defender. He had an assist, so there's a lot of good things that went with that. But I think it's viable for sure, but I'm not going to say against it or for it. I think Cincinnati's an interesting stack. Price-wise, it's not ideal. But then again, like you have Denke, who's pretty goal dependent right now. He could throw up like a 28 like he just did this past weekend. But going through these, it was really good. San Jose was the killer. Rodriguez not starting was a shock from Bruce Arena. And that was kind of a killer for a lot of people, I'm sure. Other than that, the Galaxy were really hard, as usual, to predict. They were my worst of the weekend, 6. Next worst was Inter Miami with 8. Messi started, so obviously when Messi starts, that's not going to help you out whenever you don't pick him. Yeah, that's for sure. Thoughts on Wagner this weekend? He should still, I mean, he's going to have all sets, nice matchup, but a lot of players, they're missing 6 guys that are in the starting lineup, or they have been in the starting lineup. So even though they're home, don't love it, man. Don't love it. I think St. Louis on the other side of that, I think Hartle and some of the other guys are a good look, just because they're not going to be not going to have a lot going forward. Not to say that they can, get run out of the building, but based on what we just saw, you don't want to have one game sample size be everything. But Nashville outplayed them. Ducky, what's happening? Let's go. Zimmerman, Willis, I like that. I mean, they've been scoring really well. Willis had that pen save on Quinn Sullivan. He scored well. Nashville scored well as a whole as well. Narky, let's go. We're doing well. How are you doing? ATX history, let's go. Thoughts on Austin defense? They've been solid. Yeah, doesn't really matter who's been playing lately, has it? With Cascante going out, some interesting with guys being out and interesting on the back line. I've heard a little bit about what they did, but let's start with Austin, because why not? Here's what I went with based on the presser today. I originally had Antonio Gomez being called up to play center back. It looks like him and Riley Thomas will be the 2 call-ups. Biro and Illy Sanchez were options. Illy Sanchez played for LAFC a couple of matches. I think, if I was looking at this team and I said, okay, how can we get our best team on the field? And if Illy can play that center back role, I would slide him here. And I would start Danny Pereira, who's been out of the lineup after Savic just started the last match. But I would do it this way. That's not to say this is the right way, but this gets the best possible 11 of who's available, in my opinion. But the defense has been really good. Biro started taking some sets as well. Biro has been mentioned in becoming into sets, I believe. I forget what the quote was. They said they liked his delivery. Wolf takes pretty much all sets. Coleman came on. He took 2 sets as well. Same as you're projected. Love to hear it as an Austin legend there. I appreciate that. Got your Orlando and Red Bull collection at 3%. Both good matches, just both backup keepers. Yeah, that's good, Dunk. Yeah, should be in good spot there. Narky, let's go. Thank you for being a member. I appreciate that. Just if you're new, I don't know, whatever it's called, the partner program or whatever on YouTube, you have to have 1,000 subs and 4,000 hours of view or whatever it is. It's available, and I threw a membership on there. It's just kind of to support me. I answer all questions anyway. So it's not I forget what I even put in there. I think I put $1. Wasn't it $1 or something? Whatever it is. But I appreciate that. Anything helps, obviously. I didn't want to make it so it's, some of these guys have really good communities, and I just turned it on just in case you wanted to do it. Everything that you get is going to be without that, but I appreciate that for sure. In the future, I'll work on putting little badges and stuff for you to liven it up to make it actually worth it. But I think it is $1. You can correct me on that. Yeah, Old Wolf is killing it on sets for sure. That's for sure. That's really solid there. Pereira versus Shambos. Yeah. Columbus being without several guys as well, playing New York City FC. Shambos, I was really high on him coming into the year. I'm not saying that I'm not anymore, but he's just been hit or miss, and it just kind of depends. Pereira isn't getting 60 minutes, but he should get sets without load. Yeah. So no Robin load. So in theory, yeah, you would think that is the case. But again, he hasn't played over 67, 70 minutes, which is always a little bit concerning. Yeah, them against the Galaxy, you think they score, right? I would lean Chambos, and not even lean. I'll make a stand and say Chambos, actually. Really hope Anderson Julio, where we go? Oh, there we go. Is back this week. Yeah. Julio's day to day, by the way, not Alex. Yeah, he'll be on the bench at least. Yeah, sorry. I saw the Anderson Julio comment, and then yeah, I did mention that. I just didn't put him in the starting lineup just because I didn't think there was a chance for him to start. So I did from the presser. Julio Cascante is day to day, so that is good. That seems like it's ahead of schedule from what we saw before. But yeah, I really hope Anderson Julio is back as well. He does provide a really different dimension. And it sucks because in MLS, it's brutal just because like the green card situation, they always leave mid-season. Like he's in good form too. So if we go to Dallas, Farrington's been starting. So with Julio out, I went pretty low on Julio just because we haven't heard anything as far as, I've been watching as much as I can from the FC Dallas news, but yeah, we just don't know if he's going to get his green card in time. You look at different situations like in Portland, Araujo has been in Peru. It seems like forever getting that green card. He's even playing for the national team while he's there. Like it's just weird situations. So yeah, it's brutal. Yeah, they got outplayed pretty bad. That was pretty gross looking. I appreciate that. Narkia, I really appreciate that. Underappreciate. I feel like I'm appreciated though. I feel like I get really good support, but I definitely appreciate that. A lot of kind words from a lot of people that make it worth it for sure. Is Joseph Morales back yet for Mini? So we did get a small little tidbit on him. He's back to full training, but they said he's TBD if he'll be available this weekend. So that'll be interesting as well. I don't think I went 20%, but honestly, I don't think he'll start right away. I know full training is great, but I think Markanich has played well enough that he can kind of, come off the bench. Maybe Markanich goes 60 if Rosales feels good enough to go 30. That'd be great. Yeah, I hope Bomba doesn't get subbed again at 62 minutes. That's odd for sure. Oh, Red or Dead, man. You came in with the green card news last time, and now this. He's back for Dallas. That's tremendous. You love to hear it. So he's back. That's good. I'll definitely have to make an update. Make a little note of that. That's great to hear for Dallas fans. And yeah, this as well. Playing that stupid third place. It would have been nice. Yeah, Germs. I mean, he just has inside sources to the club, so it's hard to keep up with what he does. He does a great job. He knows pretty much everything about Dallas. And whenever I'm trying to do every single team, like for RotoWire, I do every single lineup for every single team. And then on here, I think I do 24, 25. Yeah, for sure. So give me 1 second. Keep hitting me back with these. Muhammad, what's happening? Yaboa, 75%. Lack of options, number one. But yeah, he came off the bench. He looked fine whenever he was on the pitch. It was just said it was a slight knock and he just couldn't start. I think the full week of rest, he'll be fine. Yeah. Past like that small knock, was it his ankle for Orlando? Just kind of watching, it looked like it was his ankle. And Araujo, yeah, we didn't hear much other than just the post-match comment on him. Tightness, not a long-term issue, just a precaution, and he should be back in the starting lineup. I think was I took that quote. I think it was from the post-game presser. And yeah, the hobbled a little bit for Paslit. He should be all right. Yeah. Yeah, Germ's over at Predictify, but I don't know where he gets his news because like I watched Third Degree. Daniel does the same thing. So yeah, that's some news is hard to get, and Germ can like get into pressers from what I'm pretty sure that he has a little bit of insight to the club, which is awesome. Jerm's good dude. Thoughts on Ocampo? I have a rare classic with Takioka, Wagner. Oh, it's a sick lineup. Yeah. I wouldn't take any of those guys out. I wouldn't take Wagner out. I think he has good upside too. I get the idea with stacking with Takioka, but man, you just have 5 studs there. You know what I mean? Like, well, 4 studs and a goalie. I'm never going to call a goalie a stud. Even Kalina, honestly. Kalina is good, but goalies are just their own thing. I get that you could have some upside with that. I get it. Yeah. You don't trust Hani. Yeah. I mean, he's been up and down, but this matchup's good. I'm really interested. So, like, if we go to Nashville, 63%. I know Montreal's been punching above their weight, in my opinion. They've been hanging in matches. Here's the big one, though. Gaston Brugman, based on who's available and what they kind of have to do, it kind of depends on who plays where. Just with the guys that are out, Nahar being out, Alex Mule, I don't even think it was last year. I think 2 years ago he played a little bit of right back whenever they need him in a pinch. It could be Bauer too, but I think they could slide him if Brugman's ready, which he's played a few minutes off the bench, multiple matches. He's been back multiple weeks and available. His progressive passing, I think, is going to help Hani out tremendously. And in this matchup, if he starts, yeah, really think he has the upside. It's hard to trust him for sure, but at the same time, I really think he's going to score 60 plus this weekend. Oh, if we see Semla, yeah, him being on the bench was weird. I wish Rick was, but Philly Union 2 played the following day, so I think it was more just like Andre Blake's made of glass. Maybe you'd have to come in, didn't want to play back-to-back days. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. It should be Andrew Rick, but yeah, that would be some PTSD from last year whenever we were sweating Semla and Andrew Rick, and it just was horrendous. I should have sold that limited when it got to $50. I won a comp with Semla and net, so he'll always have a soft spot in my heart. That's pretty insane that I got first place in a Challenger in season D1 with him. That's hysterical. Let's go a little game by game action here. Yeah, let's start at the top. Orlando City's in a nice matchup as well. I popped them up to just kind of talk about some other, just kind of more going to focus this stream on who is out and who could possibly be in. There's a lot of different things kind of going into each standpoint here. So yeah, Colodi played for North Texas, and then he was on the bench. Yeah, it's just weird how they do that, right? Yamar was put for personal reasons, should be back. Yeah. If we want to bump over, I do have all these notes for the most, like, as soon as I see it, which some of the information is pretty straightforward, but I update at the top Wednesday. But that personal matter, he's back and he's fully training. So it was a personal matter. So he should be in the lineup. I have an 80%. I mean, honestly, it probably could be 90, but with Seattle's just kind of randomness, kept him at 80. Morrison De La Vega on the side. They're not going to play this weekend, but it's promising that they're at least training, doing something. And then Christian Roldan, he was the other injury question mark. He's a workhorse. He plays through pain. But he's training fully. So I know we're bouncing around, but that's my news on Seattle. We'll bounce back to him a little bit later for sure. So back to Orlando City, the one toss up, and then I'm interested to see what Dunk says about this. So Kyle Smith starting over Rafael Santos. I didn't see that coming, but you know, he didn't play bad in the start. I know Santos was a little bit up and down, but coming into the season, I was pretty high on Santos, to be honest. The other one is Thor Halson. Even when he subs on, he's coming into the midfield, it seems like. So Alex Freeman has looked lively. So that kind of seems like he's losing the position there. Aryuho, we talked about a little bit. He missed the last match, surprisingly, with tightness, not a long-term issue. And then the attack passed like 70%, but again, it was just a slight knock. Muriel started. Maguire was on Tom Bogart's list of people that might be traded, which is interesting, or like trade targets. So that's something to keep an eye on. Maybe they're happy with Enrique and Muriel, but yeah, I would rather have Big Dunk, but I don't know. That's just a personal thing for me. Speaking of Yamar, torn between Alex Roldan and Yamar to go with Fra Rusnak and maybe Tag Seth. Roldan's been scoring pretty well. Yamar, solid as well. Both a no. Yeah, I wouldn't play them both. I like what you said with Tag Seth. I know he didn't score very well on the weekend, but he's been scoring well most of the time. That's tough. I think maybe like your upside play would be Roldan, just because maybe he provides like an assist or something. Not that Yamar doesn't have upside, but I think Yamar might be, as long as we know he's starting, and it was a personal issue. If we can kind of think that he'll be back, I think I'd probably go Yamar personally. Atuesta looked really good last weekend. Smith was decently solid, so it'd be harsh. Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, Janssen, he gave up that PK. Yeah, agree on the upside. It does feel criminal. Yeah, I mean, personally, I'd probably go Gomez, but the upside's there as well for Alex Roldan. Yeah, for sure. DC United. So this is Danya. As far as the couple things that I was thinking, Peltola doesn't play for DC United, but he gets called up to Finland, right? And Rolls is the other one. So center back McNaughton. Yeah, that's what I was assuming would be there. That's who I had. Herrera left, allegedly left, and was sent home. There was a conflicting report that it was due to injury, but then that wasn't a real source from what I saw. I didn't know the source. It didn't seem real, but he's back and should be in the lineup. Stroud, yeah, I mean, Brajas being brought in, he showed some flash whenever he was with Real Salt Lake. But yeah, it should, I mean, knock on wood, should be pretty straightforward with some of these teams having guys out. It seems straightforward, but it never is. You know how it goes. You would think that it is, and it just ends up not being straightforward whatsoever. You have other guys being brought up, things like that. But talk about Austin. So we'll go to Danya's second team. San Diego FC, they had bad news today, 10 to 12 weeks on Ingvartsen. It's pretty brutal. A team that doesn't have a ton of depth. It's going to be tough with these injuries and things coming and going. Reyes, they kind of need him to get back. So yeah, definitely for sure. They rotated both left back and right back last weekend, which is odd, but yeah, I predicted both of them back in. As far as there, and then Valakari would be the guy coming in. Mighton is fast. He's really fast. That was kind of exciting to see him come on. He had that little bit of spark, so I would like to see him start over Boateng. But yeah, another kind of, it should be straightforward. Whenever it should be straightforward, we usually see something weird. But yeah. Underdog this weekend. Okay. Could be fun to look at some underdogs picks on stream. Yeah, we'll do that. I'll go through all these matchups, and then we'll look at some underdog picks. I actually didn't look on the server website. I had it loaded up, but that makes it intriguing for sure. Underdogs, sweet. All 50 or below, still like before. Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, we'll definitely look into that. Great idea. Love it. Dane St. Clair starting tonight. Don't get hurt. Yeah, international sweats for sure. And Jay Blaze, let's go. Smash that like button. Yes. Yes. Still don't know what it does, but it does something. Gets it out to the people. Yeah, smash that like button. I appreciate that. Sporting Kansas City, LAFC. Sporting Kansas City. It's just tough, man. It's tough. I feel for Alex, being a fan, number one. The bright spot, they came down from 3-0. Minnesota up 3-0. They came back. Big draw. Maybe that's the springboard that they need. Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe it's not the springboard and it's a point out of nowhere and you leave it at that. But as far as this team, man, they got some murky situations, right? A toss up between Leibold and Demba. Manu Garcia and Jovic seem like locks. I agree there. Jake Davis should be in there. 90%. Yeah, he's got 10% elsewhere. Memo, Rodoya, Bartlett was fun for a couple games. Now he's out of the starting lineup. Basong and Ian James were the two international guys. So Basong was in the midfield, so that's where Memo comes in most likely. Eric Tommy toss up with Shallowy and Shappy, man. Shappy, him and Manu Garcia coming from Aris have been lively, right? So it's good to see for sure. Those two, and they're playing LAFC. So LAFC do have to go on without Denny Bouanga, which is a big loss, but Under can play the left side, and I do believe that he'll play it over Yeboah. And then that allows David Martinez to be in the lineup as well. Bobasi should start. And Giroud is at the farewell match in France this weekend. So, or he was being honored, in France. So he's out, even dealing with that knock. Cherundolo said that everyone is healthy outside of Marlon. There's no real health concerns outside of Marlon, allegedly. So that's good to hear. Segura being back in the starting lineup is just kind of, it seems like that's what they'll do more off than anything. And then with, Nkosi Tafari has been really good. He kind of deserves, to start again, but it just seems like they've been rotating who's starting on that back line. I think he's playing a heck of a lot better than Segura this season. He had that last man tackle that last match. So if we could get him starting, that'd be great. Aaron Long and then Chanel should be available off the bench, coming back from that head injury. Midfield, they haven't picked anybody up officially yet. Interested to see if Odin Holm from Celtic, the loanee, gets some run or not whenever he gets back from injury as well. So LAFC there. They are road favorites. It's kind of rare, but we have seen some road teams win this year. Next up, a team that I like, yeah, he's been retired. Yeah, he's just living his own life and retired for sure since joining LAFC. This is going to be interesting. So shout out to Laurel. She's great. Her Queen City Press Patreon page has great updates, and I do attribute these to her. Her training notes, things like that, and I just kind of pass it along to you. So both Miles Robinson and Nick Haglund are available for selection this weekend, which is great. As far as the back line, they're going to need them because Miazga's still out. Still should be back in full training in a couple of weeks, but he's still out. Miles Robinson, he was questionable, but whatever. He's back. Green card appointment for Hadebi, taking care of his green card in Zimbabwe, and he has a slight knock, but he's healing up with that. Flores got that red card in the last match, so those two starters are both out. Denke's gone. Stefan Trilla does not play, so it doesn't really matter there. But it should see Powell or maybe Haglund. Haglund played with FC Cincinnati too. For two different matches. So he is building up fitness for sure. It is kind of it should be Powell, but Powell doesn't really fit in this 4-2-3-1 as much. He's more of a back three. He can play an outside center back role, He used to be a right back. It's kind of transitioned into that. Pavel Buka wasn't great in the last match by any means, so that's kind of why he's 80% instead of 90. Then the attack, it should be, Orjano and Evander, we feel good about them. Kubo, feel good about him. And then it should be Baird starting, I would think. Santos, I just don't see him as a starter. I think Baird would be the starter there, but with Denke out. What ended up being the final consensus on, it was a knee capsule. They said, I believe the quote was, I think still a couple weeks away. But good news, right? Only a couple weeks is tremendous. For him, need Engel to get going. Yeah. Really hoping Engel kind of get some form going. You're really looking forward to that, especially in this matchup. Atlanta is going to be interesting. This is Ryan's team. So a lot of question marks here. Hernandez and Klitsch practice on Thursday. I saw that as well. He did that as well. Ronnie T's playing 3 at the back, which is hard with one healthy center back. Yeah, I was going to say that is kind of tough. I don't know who they would kind of go there. And Edwards might be forced into playing center back just due to the international. They have so many international players out. Especially on that back line. Louis Abram, even, they could have used him. Morales, they could have even used. Cobb, they could have used, right? Gregerson, obviously, is the starter that's out there. Amador and Lennon being back is big for this team. If Klitsch can start, Riley. That's Will Riley would be the other guy that's the possible starter. Midfield doesn't look as good. You have Almiron being out, so Salva's going to move over to the right. Jean De Silva on the left. So, you have some holes there. The back line could be exposed for sure. Dirk Williams is still there, but there's a good chance. If they can get things going, could put up some nice scores. I'm really looking forward to Evander. I wrote him up in my RotoWire article about being high on him. So, hopefully Evander gets back to his AA plus decisive instead of either doing one or the other, which he's kind of gotten into lately. Seattle. They got injuries, obviously. And they got Nuhu Tolo and Obed Vargas on international duties. So the lack of options is kind of brutal here. Lack of depth, lack of options is brutal. It's just kind of hard to see anything other than this unless you see like Costa Rienzi. He's looked lively. He's looked good. Unless he gets a start somewhere, it's just tough. He could play like that right back / right wing back. It's kind of a stretch to playing at right wing, in my opinion. But as far as replacements, they don't have a lot. I went 70% on Jesus Ferreira just because he looked terrible. It was awful. Like, it just mannerisms, everything was awful. Masovsky came on for him pretty early in that match. But in theory, he should start, right? Rothrock seems pretty locked because they don't have other options. Rusnak, it's just they've played this 3-4-3 the last several matches, but they lost both matches last week. Cruz Azul 4-1 and St. Louis City 1-0. So for a team that was really deep to start the season, injuries again can just absolutely blow up your team, which is rough for them. And they are playing Houston. So I just updated Houston probably an hour ago. Houston wanted to get into some form naturally, and they played El Salvador in a friendly. Why not? So we did get a little bit of information. No one got hurt in the friendly, which is good. Maurer played the full 90. We'll see. Will Steve Clark come back? It would make sense, right? But him ever leaving in the first place or them not bringing him back made zero sense. So Maurer for now is the starter. With the trade talks, again, if you haven't seen Tom Bogert's article, Drake Callender obviously is one of them. He's not Argentinian. He's not Argentine. So obviously he's not well liked there. So he could be on the move, and Houston would be an interesting place. I honestly still believe that Drake Callender is a starting level MLS keeper. That's really not saying much. But with the current team, so Sviatchenko played 45 minutes. That's a positive. But he was in the group that were all backups. Ibrahim is a guy that could start this weekend as well. But Sviatchenko, I think they're just trying to get him some minutes. And I left him out of my starting one. And as Will says here, it's tricky. If you have a Sviatchenko, you're probably not playing him. It's not a good matchup anyway. You don't feel great about it. Femi Owodezu is kind of a guy that they really like that came up from the Houston 2 squad. And yeah, he seems like he's a pretty safe starter over Barlow for now. Should see Escobar. He's back to being fit. He was subbed off really early and it ended up being nothing. And then Dorsey on the other side. Yeah, good. The question is, and this is kind of like the domino that changes everything, who's going to play for McGlynn? So I have Lodero sliding back into that 8 role, but it could be Duenas. But this kind of makes sense. I know Ibrahim's been out of the lineup, the last 2 matches? But I did throw him back in there just because it just kind of makes sense. This is offensive, so maybe they won't play that on the road in Seattle. Maybe they go to Duenas. But I just feel, again, I'm a huge proponent of play your best 11 that you can with injuries and stuff, obviously taking into consideration. This would be, in my opinion, the best 11 they could play without Sviatchenko. But yeah, this team's not great. You don't love where Houston's at, to be honest. Only 0.7 XG, 20% win, just nothing good there. Talked about Shambos, but let's look at the rest of the crew because Lapalainen, another one, he's like fits that Camacho, one of Nancy's old Montreal guys that's he likes. So him coming back into the fold, he'll get minutes, you'd think. And then Amar Sejdic signing as a free agent, giving you a little option there. It's just lack of options again. Dealing with lack of options. Morera rolled out, Camacho rolled out, Hagen rolled out with a finger. So it's Bush time. Evan Bush. Yeah, brutal. 38 years old, I believe. Not that, there aren't older keepers like Ustari, I believe, is around there as well. And then insult to injury, Amundsen, red card. That's pretty big because he's been scoring well. And then you have Schulte, Farsi, Habrun, and then Arson was one of those late call-ups, which is kind of brutal again. So I went more of attacking in this situation. I went more attacking. I went AZ Jackson instead of playing that central mid, which I think is stupid for him. I put him out on the outside here. But again, it's just lack of options. If Lapalainen is 60 minutes fit, him starting would make sense. But I don't like that. But the front 3 seems pretty safe for sure. I've lost 8 keepers in a month. That's brutal. Sorry to hear that, Will. Miss Seattle. Can I play João Paulo and Christian Roldan together, or is it too risky? I can go back, obviously. We just talked about him. So João Paulo went 80%, Roldan 70%. Roldan was training fully, which if he is just like an Iron Man, so him training fully is great. And in that scenario, he should be fine. And then João Paulo, Danny Leyva is his competition to start. He should start. There's some risk to that, just based on Schmetzer has been kind of weird with his lineups at times. But I don't want to say it's really safe, but I feel good that both should start. It's just, will they start? Which you hate to hear that, but that's just kind of my consideration there. If anyone's following around with brackets, Drake just upset Missouri. Love to see that. All right, getting to one of the best home teams in MLS and the Wilfred Zaha show, who I am high on this week, Charlotte. Charlotte at home have been a fortress, just clean sheet after clean sheet. No Tim Ream, no Leo Abada, and no Patrick Agyemang. So 3 starters out of the lineup, which could be interesting. The back line could be an issue of who starts where. And I've kind of kicked around the idea, could they possibly even play a back 3 and kind of switch things up a little bit to play these 3 so that like Scardina doesn't have to start. Bronico 2 seasons ago, under a different staff, played left back for 2 spots, two matches. So I threw him in there. Doumbia would be the guy that would make the most sense, but he's still in the visa process. And like with the visa process, you just can't trust that whatsoever to be ready and done in time. He would make the most sense. So I do have Burns sliding over to the left side. Scardina has been on the bench, but hasn't made an appearance. But he's the only other right back that's fit. Forbes has been hasn't even been in the lineup just because he's been dealing with an injury. So that's why I only went 10% on him. You wouldn't think Bill Tuiloma would get a spot there, but yeah. Bronico over Williamson, but if Bronico slides in, Williamson would be a guy that would slide in. Kern Vargas should get the start, just based on the availability. And then I believe his last name is Toklomati or whatever, however you say it. But he's listed as Aidan Giorno from Opta. Tavares could be the other option to start, so 45% there. I went 85% on Zaha just because he went home to visit his family. He has that newborn, so he spent a couple days, came back. He should be fine though. Yeah, no problem. Steph Fry, Wagner, and Kuiper. Yeah, Kuipers. Who cares? Difficult to win something classic MLS rare. Yeah, that is very true. That is very true. Yeah, so they do have some issues in the attack, but I think it might be a big Willie Zaha match. And they are playing San Jose, who started off hot, and here we go. The wheels are kind of falling off here, and something might change, but I don't like the changes that they made last match. Davidov, what's happened? Good to hear from you. The change was Rodriguez being out and Lima being in, and them playing a 4-2-3-1. I hate it. Hate everything about it. It didn't work. So you would think they would adjust back to a 3-4-3 with Hernan Lopez being out for significant time. That's big. Sikaris is out with USA under-20s. Joseph Martinez with Venezuela. So that opens up some spots. I would like to see Buda. I think that makes the most sense at right wing. 85% on him. Morongo, obviously. And then Pellegrino on the left side. The only other change would be if they played 2 strikers and played Judd up there with them, but it just doesn't make sense. LaRue did not play very well. His rating kind of stunk. Just everything kind of wasn't great there. Kay still on the bench. I just feel like one of these matches he's going to start. He's going to be back in there. But yeah, we'll see there. They got projected. Yeah, these are projected scores. I was hovering it, and I was like, "What's popping up here?" LaRue and Harks in the midfield. Yeah, it could happen for sure. It's just kind of a will it, and then the rest. Rodriguez, he's got to start, right? Like it just doesn't make sense. He's their best defender in my opinion. I know he's not Romney because Romney's Bruce Arena's boy, but yeah, you would think that would be the lineup. Yeah, I just don't. I don't agree with Lima being in there in a 4-2-3-1. I just don't. But crazier things have happened for sure. Next up, Vancouver, who are on a roll, and Chicago, who are on a roll. So this is going to be interesting. Here's my take on Vancouver. I think based on availability, this makes the most sense. Sabi and Krylik have been training with the team, which is good for them. Adekugbe off to the side. Hope to have Sabi available for this weekend, which is good to have him and get him into the lineup. He's not going to start, though. It just doesn't make sense for him to start right away. The back line should be that. Should be. As far as like Udvik and Halbuini, if they rotate for some reason, they could do that, but there's no midweek match coming up this midweek, so it just doesn't really make sense. Berhalter locked in, he's on sets. Vite being away, so Berhalter will have all sets. Nagando could take a couple, just based on previous matches. He's looked really good, and he can play in that right attacking mid / right wing role. He's better in the midfield, in my opinion. And then the other one would be McKenzie, who is a second teamer who's been training with them. So if they would go that route, Daniel Rios should be the starter with Brian White out. And Jaden Nelson, yeah, he should be back in the starting lineup. Feel good about that. 70%, but he should be the starter based on availability. They are taking on Chicago, who have been very good, even with their injuries. So they have been in great form, back-to-back road victories too. Not against the best competition, but to win on the road is big. Barroso, Germ's boy, has been doing very well. They gave him assist where he should not have gotten assist, in my opinion. He made the original ball into Kuipers, and Kuipers kicked it off Sean John. Sean John got a piece of it, and then he buried it after that. So shout out to Opta missing that. But yeah, his scores have been great. He had great AA regardless, and he should get his first start here. So that's exciting. I do have one. But yeah, exciting. As far as the presser news, Jonathan Dean has a punctured lung, so that's why I went 90% on Barroso. Andrew Gutman, I dropped him down to 60% due to an illness. So he's sick. That's a hit or miss. You just don't know how sick he is. Reynolds would be the backup there. Romanig Kuami and Dylan Burso, it doesn't really matter, but are fit and will travel with the team this weekend. So that's big. I would like to see an appearance off the bench first. Samuel Williams signed a first-team deal, which is good for Chicago. He was out of options. He was a guy that was called up from Fire 2. I do like the idea of giving him another start. And then he's listed as Ngessen. That's just kind of his Opta name, but that's that Romanig Kuami there. You don't love that Bomba was subbed early. Zinkernagel has been very disappointing as well. But that front three, should start. The Tuesday training news, Carlos Teyron back in the mix. He was training, but I don't see him starting this weekend. And then the Fire 2 players in first team were Trip Fleming, Diego Konix, and Claudio Cassano. Kellen Costa was training inside, still a few weeks away, I would think, on him. So that's Chicago. Yeah, so let's see. No question in the chat. Keep rolling. Minnesota, we touched on a 50% to win against the LA Galaxy. With their international, they got 5 starters out there, which makes it tough. So their idea of rotating, I believe the quote last week was about rotation, were for these types of situations. Alex Smear in the starting lineup. They'll call up a second keeper from Minnesota United 2. So Smear will be the starter. I went 80%, 20% on Mark Kanich. Talked about him a little bit. It just kind of makes sense to keep him in there. I did end up going Padelford. I went back and forth with him and Romero. It's 60%, 60%. Padelford's experience last year and Romero just lack of, being included this year is crazy. Morris Duggan, he's the set starter out of these guys right now. So the back 5, there is a possible toss up there. This should be your midfield. Dotson should be available. He has a knock, held out of training on Tuesday, likely to be back later this week. Kind of waiting for the what it's called. It's Andy Gretter, but he writes for, it's like the Patriot Press or something. I apologize for botching that. But it's like the Minnesota Twin Cities newspaper thing. Hoping something gets out, an article before then. Usually comes out after the deadline, so it'd be nice to get some information. He does a great job, but he's also covering Minnesota sports and college sports as well. But Dawson, I watched a video on Owen. I think it's Jean. Is that how you say that? I was saying Jean earlier. I think it's Jean. Could be wrong on that. Ho Yen would be the other possible combination here, but Trapp and Pereira should be pretty locked in. Then Dotson, if he's healthy, should be good. Sang Bin starting for Tani Olasei, and then Yeboah 75%. They don't really have another option. They would probably lose the striker, just do like Sang Bin up top if that was the case. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they play. I don't hate it, even with like having all those guys out. That's still a pretty good squad. And they play an LA Galaxy team who I have not had a handle on whatsoever. Presser today, I did watch that, got some clips on that. Paintsol, we got some news on him, which is great. Set to begin fully training next week and could be available against Orlando. You would have to take off the bench first. And then Royce, the Dustman himself, day-to-day, and is still questionable. So I talked about it preseason. How long would he last? There's no way you could play every other match or every match. It's sad. The other kind of comments, Zanka over Garces. Right now, Greg Vanney, just Garces is too raw and he's kind of making mistakes. They talked about with Ricky Puig being in there, he would come to get the ball from Garces, making it a lot easier for Garces to distribute out of the back. But now he's just making mistakes. And right now, Zanka is the preferred player. Julian Aude still in good form over Nelson. He's retaken that starting gig. And then Mickey Imani came off the bench. He is good to go. And they're going to need him because Harbor Miller is away on international duty. And he started the last, 4 matches. So, yeah. As far as the midfield, that Royce toss-up, Tucker Lepley started there. That's an attacking mid role for sure. Cirillo and then Parente still in there. Elijah Winder would be the other option there. At striker, I went Ramirez. He has been off the bench, and he scored in his last 2 matches. So I do have him as the starter. It makes sense unless they want to use him in that role. I don't like Miguel Berry still. I'm going to say that every stream. And then Nascimento, I think he needs some minutes, but he got minutes at Botafogo, and he is kind of an upside guy. He has talent. It's just how will they use him, and he's on loan. So it's kind of tough on that one. Garces has been a disaster, that's for sure. And the no PK call, was pretty horrendous. Yeah. Portland got jobbed pretty hard on that. It should have been a match winner there. For sure. Yeah. Peck needs Puig. It's a shame for him. And then Fagundes should be good there. If you are in chat, and it seems like we got 27 people. Sweet. If you haven't hit that like button, like it up. Appreciate it. And if you do have any questions, any specific teams, any specific questions, feel free to hit me with them. And if you're kind of just coming in late, there is that member thing that is just completely, it's $1 or something. I don't even know what I sent it as, but it's just, if you basically want to tip me or whatever, I just threw it on there because I could. I'll add stuff to it later, but you get everything without paying. So that's just, don't feel obligated to do that. Down to what? Last 5? Yeah. I said that I like Nashville. So we brought him up earlier. Andy Nahar being out would be the only starter from the last lineup, which would kind of rotate things around. But I have Mule as a starter at right back. He has played it before. That kind of slides him there. That is kind of a toss-up. Mule should start. It just depends where. Same with Tagzeth if he's playing out on the outside. And this is a 4-2-2-2. Attacking mid, really, on the left and right side. Kassem has been really good. He's just scoring goals left and right. Yazbek seems pretty good. And Surage, as Duncan said, I did see that, and that's he did have a hat trick that last time against Montreal. I think I saw, was it Ben Wright or someone else said about that? I'm like, is it gonna happen again? And then Hani up top there, nice little 69. Let's go, 69 projected score. You love to see it. And they're playing Montreal. Shout out to Gary here. He's all over it with it. The coach has been sick. Yeah, Courtois was sick. Saw that. Herbersville Saint and Sinchek are all out. Vrioni out still. Alvarez injured in training. And Waterman with the Canadian national team. That's just absolutely brutal. You hate to see all of that. And Montreal are still playing half decent, which is surprising. They're not getting smoked by any means. They're hanging in games, which with this roster stinks. So they're doing well. George Campbell's good. I won't say that he stinks. George Campbell's good. They have this Guba Glow, or however you say it. He's an academy kid. Still starting over Marshall Rudy. He's been starting, and then Sealy on the left side. The Dallas boys will know all about him over Tom Pierce. Caden Clark should be back in the starting lineup. Bryce Duke looks like that as well. And Owusu being in there is good for the team as well. So, yeah. Yeah, it's tough to go on the road. They play really well at home. I just don't like the roster composition. It's just, the offense. I'm interested to see how Vrioni, if he ever plays, fits in. He was bad in New England, but you think back to whenever he was in Europe, he was really good. I mean, maybe not really good. He was good, though. I had his card. Who was that? Was it Rapid? Or was it, I think it was Rapid Vienna. I don't know. That seems like ages ago. Brandon Craig, Philadelphia dropout there. Center back in Petrasso. Sirois scores well. I mean, he has a nice AA. And whenever he's at home, he'll have some clean sheets for sure. He's a good option as a goalie, but maybe not against Nashville. I think Nashville, them scoring goals, especially against Philadelphia, getting those 3, is a positive sign moving forward. We got the Red Bulls, New York Red Bulls, Choupo-Moting, ruining my hopes for Forsberg taking pens. He won the pen, to be fair, so good for him. Stepping up and taking it. Dylan Nealis will be the one that he is questionable. Whether or not he plays, we could see a shift. Wiki Carmona or Julian Hall. Hall, if he would be in there, it would be back to that 3-4-1-2. If Carmona's in there, 3-4-2-1. So Noah Isla, he's playing really well. And the goalkeeper, AJ Marcucci, or Anthony Marcucci Jr., because Cornell is out. Valencia's out, but he didn't start last match. Edwards started last match anyway. And then Gengar, he played a more forward role into, he was here, right? I believe last match. And he had several A+ chances. He played really well. He could have probably had a hat trick. He just kind of missed some opportunities that, he could have scored for sure. But yeah, it's pretty light team. I mean, we do have starters everywhere. It's just the bench is going to be where they need guys. And if you look at that out list, I mean, that's tough. That's really tough. Really tough for sure. Yeah, Edwards was bad too. Yeah, I agree. This is a lack of options, not a he's a great player. So whenever Valencia comes back, I think from Panama, big win. I think he gets that starting role. And the other one to watch is Marcelo Morales. He was brought in whenever all 3 were fit. I projected him to be the starter before he got injured. So whenever he comes back, I'm interested to see how he looks. I haven't actually seen him. I just, read articles, things like that. So I'm interested to see how he looks in the team. So that's kind of where I'm going there. This is just a weird weekend, man. This is just a really weird weekend, just with weird teams and a lot of guys out. Toronto FC, I've struggled with them. They didn't give me any help with Ola being hurt with an adductor groin injury in warmups. You hate to miss one because of that. DeAndre Kerr made full advantage of it. He did score a goal. Bernadeschi had to have that negative decisive to go with this positive decisive. Corbano was out of the lineup again, which is kind of shocking. I thought he would have been back in. And then Insigne They haven't said whether he'll travel or not. You just got to assume, even with the lack of options that they have, that he's just not going to be in the starting lineup. They're just still trying to move him. The other ones, we got updates today that Kevin Long, Rosted, and Henry Wingo all were involved in full training. So that does change some things. And I did update that a little bit. Kevin Long in the starting lineup, he was hurt. He went off last match. But he limped off just before halftime. So Rosted could be there, and Stefanovic was the one who came on for him. So that's why that 30%'s there. Gomes seems pretty straightforward. But he's gone a 4-3-3. But just based on options, a 4-3-3 doesn't really make sense with Osorio being out as well due to international duty. Spicer, who he started, and Davy Flores would be the other one. So again, like Montreal, this more so, Toronto just doesn't have a very good lineup. And even against a Red Bulls team that might struggle a little bit, you got to think that New York will do all right. Real Salt Lake. Luna out with the United States and Dominic Markzup. So there's two starters there. With them being out, I think Gonzalez back to that left mid side, left attacking mid side. Pablo Ruiz hasn't started in a few matches, so I do think either him or Brook, likely him. And then Tyler Wolff on the right side makes the most sense. He should start there. Ojeda and Anelli here. And then that back line, I am leaning Junqua over Catranas, Vera sticking in there. Glad's kind of the most safe out of the back line. Bodie Hidalgo over Brown, but these are toss-ups, and I could be wrong on this. And Pule over Ajago, but again, I could be wrong on these. A little bit tricky to call on those. RSL, they can make some switches out of nowhere, and it's kind of tough. I did get 11 out of 11 last week, which is huge for me, just because they're so hard to predict. And they made 1, 2, 3. I think it was at least 3 rotations from the previous lineup. So I'll go ahead and victory lap that one. Going 11 out of 11 on them. Talk about FC Dallas. I need to change this. But as Red or Dead said, Germ obviously has some great context, and he is the man for FC Dallas. And I don't know where he gets some of his news, because I do Third Degree podcasts, things like that, all the outlets that I have, and he has sources to the team. So that's way better than I can ever do. That's for sure with this team, especially covering all the teams. So I would think that Pedrino would be the one based on Farrington. Farrington didn't play as good last match, but I would think Farrington slides over to the left. Anderson Julio maybe on the right. Makes sense. And then Pedrino and Kamungo as secondary options. I'm interested to see, I don't even know how you say it, and I don't even really want to say it, but Kayak, I don't know, however you say that. He did a photo shoot in FC Dallas gear. So excited to see how he looks as well. Colodi, I went 75%, 25% on him. He's been the backup, consistently. He was MLS Next Pro goalkeeper of the season last year. He was really good for North Texas in their run to the championship. So outside of that, should be pretty straightforward with all the other positions. Should be. Hopefully we don't see any weird rotations with the other positions, but they have dropped back-to-back matches at home, so maybe there is a little bit of a shakeup here, but you never really know what that shakeup is going to be. Last 2 matches, Colorado versus Portland. Colorado, back-to-back road wins, so they are looking pretty good. They just beat San Jose. Adam Boudry, he is a talented keeper. He's young. He's been with the U.S. national team at the youth levels. Starting for Stefan. It's not his first start. He started before. I do have high hopes for his long-term project. I think he's a pretty solid kid from the brief times I've watched him. I watched a little bit of him in what was it? Maybe the CONCACAF under 19 qualifying, whatever it was. I've seen him a few times there, and then obviously in league play. So there. Back line, as long as Cannon starts, he's been battered, to say the least, lately. Haven't seen any updates on the statuses of Atencio, Ronan, or Vines. I checked out Burgundy Wave. I checked out a couple other sources that I have, DNVR, or however the letters are, Rapids. No updates from any of them. So sticking with them. If Atencio can't go, I think they go to the 4-2-3-1, and the addition would be Amir Fernandez, in my opinion. But Calvin Harris scored the goal from Fernandez, the game-winning goal. So I do think they have a little bit of a chance to get in there. But yeah, tough there. If Atencio's out. How many goals do you see in the RSL Dallas game? Oh, can Dallas bounce back? I think this could be a 2-2 draw. This could be 2-1 either side. I think we see 3+ in my opinion. What's the projection at? The Vegas line is 2.7. So yeah, I would say 3+ in my opinion. Could be wrong, but I would say 3+. I think there's goals to be had there. Portland. Shout out to Adam Sussman, I believe. He does a great job doing like presser clips, asking questions, doing roundups, a lot of good information from him. So if you don't follow him and you're looking for Portland information, that's where I get it. So shout out to him. It's free too. Yeah, the midfield situation is fluid according to Neville. So Ortiz, they see him as a starter, but Char is going to get his starts. And then the other one they talk about is Paredes. He's always going to come off the bench, if he isn't in the starting lineup, but he's fighting for a start as well. He played really well last match off the bench. I do think they stick with the 4-2-3-1. We did see that Kamal Miller, all good, should be fine to start. So I went 70%, but maybe that could be a little bit higher. Jeremy Forey, he loves. Finn Sermon, he loves. And then Ayala, obviously, he's great. And the attackers, as long as Kevin Kelsey doesn't start over Mora, we shouldn't see any changes there. They should have won that match. We talked about that. Dunk brought that up. They should have had a penalty at the end. Controversial no call. It's kind of brutal. Can't believe that they did get it, to be honest. Pantemis in there as well. Crepeau on international duty, but I mean, honestly, he's keeping the job until he loses it. Like, he's in great form. It's just kind of hard to see him being out there. And Lassiter is with Costa Rica, so that's why no chance for him up top. Last match here. My Philadelphia Union, the corpse of a team that they have here. Macania, terrible time to get a red card. We got Blake, we got Westfield, Danley, Gazdag, and Ty Baribo, all out, all starters. So that's a bummer. So here's how I see it. I do have Rick as my starter, 70%, 30%, but Rick should be the starter. He's the backup for everything that I know. But sometimes it would just be like, why it happened last year? So different coach, but Rick should be the backup there. So he should start with Blake out. Kai's good. Last year, again, different coaching staff. When they're in a bind here, Glavinovic is still dealing with that hamstring issue. So in theory, it'd be great for him to just start. But Harriel has started in the past. Glesnes plays that right side. So Harriel has played that left center back position. He did it last year. And then that would bring in Bizo in at right back. So to get both of those guys their first starts of the season. Quinn Sullivan didn't play very well, to be honest. He missed a pen, had some issues last match there. Lukic, with Danley being out, Bedoya is kind of the best fit there. And then I went Indiana, Vasilev being the other attacking mid, because this is a 4-2-2-2. And Kevin Sullivan being the possible 20% there, but it should be Vasilev. Vasilev is likely the guy there. Damiani should get his first start unless like Chris Donovan starts, which, I would just hate everything about that. But yeah, it should be Damiani and Ora. This lineup is not very good. This is not a very good lineup. I like St. Louis here in the situation. They just don't have anybody out other than Berkey. So, yeah, I mean, he kept a clean sheet last match. He seemed fine. Seemed great. No issues there. He's out a month. And again, this is Just Heat, J Heat _14. So, yeah, as far as this lineup, a couple news and notes that they had about Hebert possibly playing that right wing back position, or Watts would be the other one, with Tottenham being out. He got hurt. What was that? A hamstring, I believe. Wallum on the left wing back spots, Horn, Kessler, and Hebert as the back line, most likely back line. Hartle, Klaus, Bescher, just kind of a toss up there a little bit. But other than that, Leuven had that beautiful free kick in the last match. And, you know, they just don't concede goals. So Philly's going to be up against it. I know they're at home, but it's not the best lineup I've seen, that's for sure. But only 23% of a clean sheet. The streak's bound to end eventually, but yeah, that's all. 14 matches, because lo and behold, international break and Inter Miami don't have a match. That is an absolute shocker that it just happened to have that way. Why would you not have a team play? I don't know. You don't want to say it's rigged to their favor, but it is. And New England's the other team that are out and not playing this weekend. That's a lot of talking. Yeah, so those are each matchup. We have international issues. We have international things going on. We have some guys that are going to start, and that brings us to underdog competition. So I like the idea. Sorare Rude had to kind of go through there. So let's use old Sorare data pick scores, and I'll tell you a little bit about guys I like. We'll sort by 50 and under and go to MLS. I really like this idea. I'll talk through some of the 50 and under guys. We already looked at it, but yeah, they didn't change that at all. And we'll start by pick score. That's fine with me. And we'll go through. Goalkeeper is probably the easiest spot to get a 50 or under guy. And makes the most sense. Obviously, if you have to play all 50 or unders, just be careful here. Like Martin Pies is going to start. But if you play him in MLS, he's playing for Indonesia. You will not get any points for that. Just be careful with that, since they are kind of lumped into here. Brad Guzan at the top, I do not agree with that. As far as, you know, I don't like that matchup. Joe Willis is in a good matchup. He does fit in there. That would probably be one of my top options. Stephen Fry, a really good opportunity to get a clean sheet against Houston. Celentano, you know, with Atlanta missing some guys, maybe they don't keep a clean sheet, but Atlanta has not been good on the road. So that's a good shout there. Others, you know, some of these road matchups, you know, if Guzan can not concede 3, he should put up decent AA. Columbus missing guys, maybe Matt Freese is a play. But I do like the 3 that I aforementioned. Sirwal would be the upside guy that does have some risk, but against Nashville, if they can keep him at bay and he only concedes 1, he probably scores 50 plus, right? So if we look at his like current scores, yeah, you're looking at a safe floor unless he makes an error. 20 AA in pretty much every match. So yeah, even though Montreal haven't been great, they are conceding a lot of shots on net, which is good for him. And then the other away one, LAFC doesn't concede a ton of shots, but you know, the possibility of a clean sheet is there against Sporting Kansas City. Are there any other ones? Andrew Rick, I don't love it. Just what's in front of him. Maybe Beaudry against Portland, but I do think Portland's going to score. Smear against the Galaxy. Yeah, sure, maybe. And then the other one would be Marcucci makes sense against Toronto. And Evan Bush does make a little bit of sense, but New York City FC is in good form. So maybe not there. Otero could be worth a shout against DC. Are there any other starters? Collodi, I think there's going to be goals in that match. That should be all of our keepers, right? Yeah, I'll go with that. Now let's get into the other positions. Surprisingly enough, defenders have been scoring really well. Isla, I wrote about him in my article. I like him in this matchup. He's been scoring really well. Engel, you would hope he gets it going. I bought 2 Evan Bushes for this weekend. Oh, man. Like, what other league would you do that that they play through the international break and you're buying Evan Bushes? You love to see it, honestly. Absolutely love to see it. Yeah, I like Engel, but he's kind of hit or miss. He either can score really well like he did the first match or not so much. Laborda has had some crazy scores. Him fitting in this makes sense against Chicago. That's a good matchup there. Veselinovic, same matchup, sure. On the road, Palencia, but yeah, not the worst matchup. Zimmerman's definitely above 50. If you want to go to the cheaper side, Jack Mayer, sure. Hollingshead being right on that .50 on the road, you know, he does have that upside of he can get in the box and score. Yeah, I think I like those guys the most. Yeah, that would be, if they can keep that clean sheet, that would be huge, because it obviously in a clean sheet they all score well, but I think that's a great look there. Yeah, there's some good matchups in here, but it's just again, same deal with Rolls. He is not around, so he will not get any points if you an underdog you can play. An underdog you can play these guys. I misspoke. So underdog, you can play these guys with them. This is not for the MLS competition. I wasn't kind of thinking there. I mean, there's so many options under 50. So honestly, you can't play like Kai Wagner and like some of the other guys, but you have plenty of options at defense. Just trying to see if there's any that stick out like down here low that are cheap that you could just kind of, you know, a 50-cent card or something that you can just plug and play. Yeah. It's a shame. I honestly haven't looked at anything international. I probably should. But yeah. Doumbia here at 50%. He just doesn't have his visa, which is brutal. Yeah, I'm not going to go any further there. Let's get to the fun positions. Mid and forward. Let's see what we got here. Again, since we're talking underdog, I guess, you know, I'm not going to talk about any of the internationals just because I don't know the rosters and like I haven't looked at it at all. So I don't want to say, hey, Robin Lode's a great play and then he doesn't start. So I'll just stick to what I know. Orjano has those forward cards and he has some old season mids, but mostly forwards. I like him a lot in this matchup. I think him and Evander combination, and with him being under that 48, if you have to play him in underdog, sure. I'd much rather play him like in season, whatever, wherever you're going to play him. Cole Bassett got on the right track there last match. Pablo Ruiz, I agree. I don't know why he's up here. Angolo, he's been horrendous to start the season. I did look at his scores earlier today, and I was like, no good here. If that's what you're interested in, that's a true underdog card. No, thank you. Alex Mill, if he plays right back, I'm not as interested. I don't really think I'm interested regardless, but him being up here. Pereira, we talked about. I think that's fine. He's a good play. Berhalter, I like him. He's on pretty much all sets, unless Nagando takes a couple. Bernardeschi being in this, I mean, as far as Toronto, it runs through him. So as long as he doesn't get a negative decisive, which is usually pretty, he usually gets one. So can't do that. Peter Stroud had a crazy game last match. That's not who I thought would have done it. Good matchup, but can lightning strike twice. Gonzalez, I think there's going to be goals there. So 49, I think he can look pretty good, but Pablo Ruiz, if he starts, Pablo Ruiz will likely be on sets, so that takes away some of his upside. Yeah, there. Ladera, yeah, he, with McGlynn out, he should be on all sets, in my opinion. Maybe Bassi takes a couple. Yeah. Yeah, let's go. Stroud, yeah. Beat you to it. I think that's just because there's a little bit of delay. Nagando took 2 sets when Vite was out of the lineup, and Berhalter was subbed out too. That was the only reason he did. Berhalter is on all sets. Vita's with the national team. It'll just be Nagando if he lasts longer than Berhalter. That's how he gets sets. He took 2 in the was the opener. I can't remember. It's either the first or second match. Shaw Paulo is interesting against Houston. Under, yeah, he's interesting on the road, but he has the talent, that's for sure. Pereira da Costa on the road, but he has the talent. A lot of guys that have the talent. The pick scores, I mean, I don't want to knock them too much, but sometimes there are guys down here that are definitely worth a look. Vasilev against his old team, a little bit of revenge after they traded him, but it's more they traded for him. But yeah, Brugman, if he starts, there's a little risk there, but I do look forward to seeing what he looks like in Nashville. Mighton, I think he should start. So, I mean, I don't think you're going to start him, though. Yeah. The rest should be dead, I would think. Yeah. All right, and on to forwards. Let's see what forwards pop off here. Rossi is at 50 on the dot, so he's interesting. David Martinez on the road, interesting. No Boanga, so him and likely Under, maybe some other guys factor in on set pieces. Right-sided corners, though, I think David Martinez should get, in my opinion, just based on the limited data we have. Rongo, it's just really hard against Charlotte on the road. You don't feel great about them. Corin Vargas is interesting because he might take a set or two, because whenever he comes on late in the match, he does. But that's usually when Pep Bial's off the pitch. Pep Bial's been taking most of the sets. Westwood's taken a few as well, but Vargas, whenever he's out there, has been taking sets. Navarro, solid matchup against Portland. He's intriguing. He's getting into form, so could be a nice little spot there for him. Choupo-Moting, if you think that last weekend wasn't a flash in the pan, because he scored horrendously the first 3 matches and then had a great score the last one. Kasem has been a walking goal. He'll score 60 if he can get in onto the scoreboard. So like this in Varson, I know it's probably just a lot of guys haven't put in their predictions, whatever it is. But he's out, clearly out. So just be careful. Definitely SorarInside.com. Take a look at my lineups. I usually try to have it. And for that one, that would be Danya's lineup. So he has that. He has notes on that. Sang Bin is interesting. Him actually starting. And against the Galaxy could be interesting. Rothrock against Houston. He has had some upside scores before. It was mainly last year, but he can score well. I don't love the Colorado guys outside of Mihalovic, to be honest with you, or Navarro. I think you can play Suleimanov against LAFC just because he is on corners. Not the best matchup, but wouldn't fault you in playing him. Minungu could score. He could be in that. Abada's with Israel against Estonia. Yeah. On hell. At Austin isn't the best matchup in the world. I guess. I don't know. Don't really love any of these matchups. Obviously, once you get further down here to rare occurrence. Brandon Vasquez, maybe he scores, but you don't feel good about a guy that's that decisive dependent. Zink, is he going to turn it around randomly? Buddha, Damiani. I'll probably play Damiani in a lineup, to be honest, just as a reason to play the card. But yeah, that's my insight into the underdog competition. Hopefully you guys got some tidbits out of that. Thank you for So Rude for bringing that up. And because honestly, I didn't even know without opening it up to know that we had this competition. So yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I don't know if I'm probably not going to build on stream just because I can do it quicker off stream, and definitely going to watch March Madness here in a little bit and tinker with some lineups as well. But what I do want to do is give away a card, because why not? I did the Essence. I had some limited Essence. I don't play limited. And I won a card, obviously, because everyone did. It was a tier 4. It was a starter. It was Dylan Nealis. He is questionable for the weekend, but this could go into someone else's gallery, and someone else could use it more than I can use it just because I don't play the competition. So let's do a little trivia question, and I will send the winner this card. The question is, for what international team does Martin Pies play for? First answer that comes up on my screen will get this card. Jay Blaze. Oh, no, sorry. Dunk. You beat him to it. It was close. Both at 1056, but I did have Dunk being the number 1 there. Dunk first, Jay Blaze was second, and Red or Dead was third. So Dunk, what's your gallery there, bud? I feel like I should know. Isn't it just Dunk? It's something else. It's not Duncan Disorderly, right? No, it is. Yeah. Okay. All right. We'll send it to you. Yes. I probably have to do my info, so probably got to take this off the screen real quick. Sorry about that. Can't give away my gallery here, right? Can never find the authenticator app, huh? All right, Dunk, sent that over, and you're good to go. Helps your Red Bulls collection. Let's go. I'm glad. You love to see it go to somebody that could actually use it, because like that would just die in my gallery. So I will do that with any of my Essence pulls on the limited level. So hopefully that helps out some people that have interest in it. Let's see. What else has there? Anyone do the double up promotion? I'm kind of bummed, to be honest, because I had some bids out for players that I wanted, and I had them probably for like an Orjano. I was going to an in-season Orjano. I liked the price where it was at, and then this promotion happened, and it went for way more than I wanted to spend, and I'm just not interested in this double up promotion at the moment. I just wanted the cheaper prices, so I'm sitting out on it. But I did see some people got like 40 Essence. I knew there wasn't a huge like % chance to get that, but I think it was 5% at like one of the jackpot prizes. So that's kind of cool that you could get like 40 Essence for that. But yeah, what we got? MLS memorabilia. These are cool. I just don't do them. Maybe I should just pick up some Essence there. But again, it's not the limited level. I wish it was like they looked at your gallery and it was like at the rare level, just because these would be easy money. But yeah. Dunk, congratulations. You got her. If there's no other questions, I'll probably get off so I can watch the rest of these March Madness matches tonight. And yeah. Them and some cash into Denki is not the worst thing in the world. I like it. I actually like that. I love the old combo and then combo up to a good card. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, outside of that, I think go Gators. Attaboy. What, they play tomorrow, right? Yeah, they don't play tonight. Yeah, I have Gators in one of my brackets. I think winning it all, and in the final in the other. A little bit of chalkiness, but the 1 seeds are just so much better in my opinion this year than the rest of the teams. So I had trouble picking the rest of those. So Yeah, I think I'll call it on that note. Thank you all for watching. And if you made it this far, definitely give it a like if you learned anything. And if you didn't, don't give me a like. So thanks for stopping in, and we will see you. No midweek matches. So again, we'll see you next time on Thursday for our next stream and our next weekend stream. So thank you guys for watching, and it's always been riveting in the chat. And good luck this weekend. Let's hopefully take some more down, get some prizes coming home to the chat, and hopefully I do a little bit better as well. So we'll see you.